Today we're taking a look at these college football matches, which are happening on Thursday, December 29, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. Also, check out our perks and join the High Stakes membership. Joining the High Stakes membership is easy, is cheap, but it will help a lot in the growth process of this channel. Plus check out our Patreon in the link down below if you want access for our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Going back to our video, we will give you 2 betting picks for each game, a team pick and a total pick based on facts and detailed explanation, so make sure to watch our videos till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comments section below. Oklahoma Sooners vs Florida State Seminoles. The Oklahoma Sooners step onto the field holding a record of 6-6 for this year. In their last matchup, the Sooners played against the Texas Tech Red Raiders and took a loss by a score of 51-48. Eric Ray was the rushing leader for the Sooners with 28 carries for 161 yards, 5.8 yards per attempt. Dylan Gabriel finished 28th with 449 yards passing and 6 touchdowns. He had a QB rating of 208.8 and walked away from the game with 1 interception. In the running game, the Sooners conceded 163 yards on 45 attempts, which is 3.6 yards per run allowed. Oklahoma conceded 31 pass completions on 51 attempts for 436 yards and a completion percentage of 60.8%. Overall, they had 87 plays for 672 yards. The Oklahoma Sooners ended up rushing 45 different times and accumulated 210 yards, which is an average of 4.7 yards per attempt. When it comes to scoring points, the Oklahoma Sooners have an average of 32.9 points per contest. Offensively, they're averaging 216.6 yards via the ground game, which ranks them 14th in Division I. The Sooners have tallied 5,666 total yards this season. When it comes to scoring, Oklahoma has compiled 26 passing touchdowns and 25 rushing touchdowns. Oklahoma has amassed 283 first downs, and they have been hurt by 67 infractions for 606 yards. They have given the ball to the opposition 14 different times. Concerning passing yards, the Sooners have conceded 3,138 yards, which has them ranked 107th in the nation. They have given up 261.5 yards per outing through the air and giving up a completion percentage of 61.2%. Overall, they are conceding 450.5 yards outing, which puts them 120th in D1. They have conceded 18 touchdowns by air, in addition to 28 touchdowns on the ground. They are allowing an average of 4.4 yards per rush and 189.0 rushing yards per game for the season. For the season, they have allowed 2,268 yards via the ground game in 12 games. The Sooners sit in 98th in Division I when it comes to their opponent's scoring, allowing 29.6 points per contest. This line has moved a 1.5 since opening at -8 in favor of the Seminoles, and, for good reason. Oklahoma will be without their 2 starting tackles against one of the country's premier pass rushes and the 4th-ranked pass defense in the country. Florida State, meanwhile, has their full complement of offensive weapons going up against, at best, a subpar Sooners defense. The Sooners defense took a major hit losing Redmond in this matchup, as he represents the Sooners' biggest disruptor on defense. Jordan Travis looks like a strong candidate for most outstanding player for this bowl game, with his ability to throw and run the football. Travis may even get a key receiver back and right, which will only strengthen Florida State's passing attack against a shaky Sooners secondary. Both teams can put up points, but expect the Seminoles to make enough stops to cover this line. Our first pick is take Florida State -9.5 points. The Seminoles come into this matchup with a record of 9-3 for this season. In their last game, the Seminoles got the win with a final of 45-38 when they faced the Florida Gators. Jordan Travis, 1 TD, finished the contest with 270 yards on 13/30 passing, while his quarterback rate was 129.9. He didn't throw any interceptions, and his YA was 9.0. Trey Benson ran the ball 20 times for 111 yards, finishing the game with 5.6 yards per attempt for Florida State. The Seminoles finished the contest with a total of 497 yards, while they ran 74 plays, 6.7 yards per play. Florida State rushed the football for 5.2 yards per carry, finishing the game with 227 yards on 44 carries. Florida State relinquished 46 rushing attempts for 262 yards, 5.7 yards per rush. The Seminoles secondary gave up a completion percentage of 33.3%, relinquishing 198 yards on 9 out of 27 passing. It has been an inconsistent season for first-year head coach Max Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners. The former defensive coordinator for multi-time national champion Clemson was brought in to give the team stability after the Sooners lost their head coach and eventually their star quarterback to USC this offseason. Venables' team started strong but finished with 3 losses in their last 4 games to close at 6-6 heading into this bowl game. Venables will try to avoid the first losing season for Oklahoma since 1998. For Oklahoma, this game might be more about who isn't playing than who is. The team will be without both starting offensive tackles, running back Eric Gray and defensive tackle Jalen Redmond, all of whom opted out to prepare for the NFL draft. The Sooners will lean on quarterback Dillon Gabriel, who will be making his own homecoming in this game, as he spent 3 seasons playing for UCF in this stadium before transferring to Oklahoma. With 2 new tackles, Gabriel might find difficult treading on obvious passing downs. With that in mind, look for Javante Barnes, who had 411 yards and 4 touchdowns this season backing up Gray, to get a heavy workload. Defensively, the Sooners are led by linebacker Danny Strutzman, who leads the team in tackles. They will certainly miss Redmond's play in the middle of the defensive line, but the defensive-minded Venables has had several weeks to prepare without his stellar linemen. C.J. Colden leads the Sooners secondary with 4 interceptions. Concerning putting points on the board, the Seminoles are ranking 17th in Division I by tallying 36.2 points per game. During this campaign so far, the Seminoles currently sit at 3,094 yards via the pass, together with an average of 257.8 passing yards per contest, which has them sitting 41st in the nation. The Florida State Seminoles hold an average of 475.7 yards per outing, which has them sitting 13th in the nation. The Florida State offense has totaled 743 yards of penalties on 84 violations, which has them sitting 24th in the country in terms of helping out the opposition. The Seminoles are giving up 19.7 points per contest, ranking them 16th in D1. Florida State has surrendered a total of 1,780 yards rushing, 148.3 yards per game, as well as 11 touchdowns, by way of the ground game for the year. Over the course of the season, they have allowed 236 points. They have yielded 17 touchdowns through the air and 158.9 yards per game, which has them sitting 3rd in college football. The Seminoles defense has taken the field for 779 plays, which is 27th in college football. While both of these teams rank in the top 25 in points per game, 32.9 for Oklahoma and 35.2 for Florida State, there are reasons to think they may not be as productive in the Cheez-It Bowl. The Sooners are missing some key pieces and are facing a tough test against the Seminoles defense, which only allows 20.8 points per game, ranked 17th. With the immense pressure from the pass rush of Florida State, I expect Oklahoma to struggle greatly to execute their offense. The Sooners have had the total go under in 7 of their 12 games this season, and against the stout Seminoles defense, I expect it to miss once again. Our second pick is to take under 66 points.